If you looked around the web today, you likely read the outrage over the results of a vote to roll back Obama-era protections on what's easiest to understand as open Internet access. The FCC voted along party lines 3-2 to repeal what's known by the god-awful name as net neutrality. It's expected to change how we use and experience the Internet. Critics argue it'll benefit Internet providers over the consumer. As one of the dissenting FCC commissioners put it today, I raised a ruckus because today's FCC decision rolling back net neutrality is wrong. It's bad for consumers. It's bad for businesses. It's bad for anyone who connects and creates online. There was also this from another dissenting commissioner.
The public can plainly see that a soon-to-be toothless FCC is handing the keys to the Internet, one of the most remarkable, empowering, enabling inventions of our lifetime, over to a handful of multi-billion-dollar corporations. What saddens me the most today is that the agency that is supposed to protect you is actually abandoning you.
Mignon Clyburn, one of the losing FCC commissioners after today's vote. Your Internet provider, names like AT&T, Verizon, our parent company here, Comcast, will now hold the power to decide what you are able to watch based on their investments or interests. They can slow down your Internet speed or completely block content that is not beneficial to their businesses or relationships. The only thing keeping that from being reality is a promise from Internet providers that it won't happen. Here to talk more about it, our friend Josh Toplowski, a veteran technology journalist who is editor-in-chief for The Outline. Thank you for coming back.
My pleasure.
Let's assign an average consumer, I guess, someone who on occasion likes to stream a Netflix series. How does this affect people, the folks watching tonight?
Yeah, so, I mean, the way to think about the really bad ways this can play out is that, you know, down the road, the service providers, whoever you get your Internet from, decides, you know what, I like this service. They pay me more. I have a better deal with them than I like this service.
So Netflix over Hulu.
Netflix over Hulu. That's right. And so suddenly Netflix is nice and fast. Hulu gets slowed down. And so you as a consumer have this kind of degraded service for something that you're interested in getting. There's another scenario where these companies start cutting deals with them, right? Where Facebook says, hey, listen, we'll give you a couple bucks for every user we have. Why don't you put everybody onto the Facebook version of the Internet, which is all of Facebook's utilities, all of Facebook's messaging apps. And suddenly you've got separate internets, essentially. You've got separate lanes that people are actually traveling in, which can be bad, really bad for consumers.
So if you're an Internet customer and your Internet company has cut a deal with YouTube, it could mean that on some other service you'll get the rotating wheel of death, and you'll have to wait.
or degraded, or you can have services cut out altogether. I mean, there are countries who where they don't have net neutrality, where when you buy your package for your phone, you say, well, I want this set of messaging apps or this set of messaging apps, and you pay a fee every time you want to add one of those apps into the pipeline.
Could you also argue that for rich folks, rich customers for the Internet, they can afford their way around this, and the poor again get screwed?
Oh, of course. I mean, in a situation like this where you've got massive corporations who are making decisions for all of the consumer base, you're going to have this sort of class warfare that happens, right? You're going to be able to pay for the better stuff, just like you can pay for, better health care in this country.
Could you make an argument that this argument's been going on about the airwaves, AM, FM, television, that they are public, that it's in the air around us, and that the kind of it's like a utility, it's a public utility?
Yeah, I think at the point we're at, if you look at the innovation that's happened on the Internet over the last decade and how much we rely on it and how much it touches everything that we do and kind of every place that we go at this point, there is an aspect to those channels where we have to say, look, there is a utility sort of component of this. But the rules that were in place prior to this vote today were not so strict that they somehow stop these companies from innovating or from making profits. I mean, Comcast, Verizon all have record profits over the last few quarters, right? So really the issue is that there's a part of it that needs to be treated like utility, but there's plenty of room for innovation, even with those regulations in place.
What is the recourse? People who are dead set against this, how can they stop and reverse it?
Well, I mean, right now, this is in the hands of lawmakers. AG Schneiderman, Eric Schneiderman here in New York, has already filed a suit against this ruling. So there's going to be cases that are going to go before the FCC, go to Congress. There's a chance that Congress can reverse this. You know, that's going to come down to a vote at some point, depending on who's sitting in Congress. Right now, there's a lot of Republicans who've had their pockets lined by these internet providers, and so they don't really have an incentive to change the rules to go against what Verizon and Comcast and AT&T want. But that could change. You know, we're in a midterm year, so anything's possible.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.